Where are you gonna find someone like that? Whether he has money or not has nothing to do with me. You're just being stubborn. Bruno's past relationships never lasted more than 2 weeks and he's been chasing you for so long. That means he genuinely likes you. You should secretly be happy. I laughed. His relationships never lasted more than 2 weeks because he's trash and impatient. What's there to brag about? You. Vanessa was a little angry. You just don't know how good you have it. Vanessa, do you know what you look like right now? What? You're like one of those eunuch lapdogs in dramas, following the emperor around. He farts and you treat it like a royal decree. Vanessa was about to explode. She fired off a barrage of attacks. I let it all go in one ear and out the other. In the end, I only said one thing to her. A piece of advice: don't force yourself into a circle that won't accept you. Chapter 15. Bruno and Jonathan's relationship started to crack. They still hung out together, but it felt more like a plastic brotherhood. I play mobile games in my free time and I first connected with Bruno because of a mobile game. During the Labor Day holiday, the game's official team hosted an offline event. It was in City A. Our whole dorm went. Vanessa initially wasn't interested. But when she heard that everyone was going, she insisted on tagging along. And, coincidentally, we ran into Bruno and Jonathan at the event. There were a lot of people. We wanted to grab lunch, but all the nearby restaurants were completely packed. We couldn't find a single empty table. That was when Vanessa saw them. Senior, Bruno. What a coincidence you're here too. Bruno and his friends had booked a private room and it wasn't full. Vanessa said enthusiastically, why don't we share the table? 8 people together, perfect. Sure, I'll treat you guys. Bruno agreed readily. My phone buzzed with a new message. Jonathan, did you see the male swordsman cosplay? I glanced at Jonathan across the table. His eyes were lowered, looking calm and composed. These days, we talked on WeChat every day. We chatted about everything, from our major to games. There was nothing we couldn't talk about. The feeling of finding someone so in tune with me was incredible. Me, I saw it. Super handsome. Jonathan, you like it? Me, of course. The male swordsman is my favorite character. Jonathan, I want to try cosplay too. Me, you want to cosplay the male swordsman? Jonathan, you think I can pull it off? Me, definitely. Show me when you do. Jonathan, only to you. My heart suddenly tingled and went soft, as if a current had run through my whole body. I hadn't yet had time to properly identify this feeling. Beside me, Vanessa suddenly leaned over. Rain, who are you messaging? Chapter 16. I immediately flipped my phone face down. Don't look at my phone without permission. What? She looked displeased. It's not like I was sneaking a look. You were smiling so happily, why can't you share with me? Was I smiling? You were. The others chimed in. You were smiling pretty happily. Watching a funny video? Share it with us. I didn't even realize I had smiled subconsciously. My eyes swept over Jonathan. I saw a faint smile in his eyes as well. A group chat was created on the spot. I had no choice but to contribute all the memes from my photo album. After a while, the topic shifted. One of the guys asked, "Oh right, Jonathan, didn't you say you like a girl recently?" Jonathan nodded. Yeah. Holy shit, that's rare. Jonathan actually caught feelings. Not easy, like ironwood finally blooming. Vanessa panicked again. Who? Is it someone I know? Jonathan said. It's not convenient to tell you guys for now. Is she from our school? I don't want to say. Jonathan's mouth was always tight. If he didn't want to talk, pressing him was useless. Vanessa instantly deflated like a punctured balloon, losing even her appetite. Suddenly Bruno spoke up. Jonathan, tell us so we can help gather intel. No need. I'm already pursuing her. As soon as Jonathan said that, the whole group stared at him in shock. So you do take the initiative to pursue someone? Haha, never seen it happen before. Girls have always chased you. Jonathan laughed too. When you finally meet someone you like, of course you have to take the initiative. How are you pursuing her? Share some tips. Jonathan thought for a moment and said. Cosplaying for her. Chapter 17. I almost spat out my tea. Jonathan didn't notice at all that what he said had unintended implications. And this group of romance veterans instantly took it the wrong way. Damn, you skipped straight to cosplay already. My bad, I worried Jonathan wouldn't know how. Didn't expect Jonathan to be that good. Jonathan's face went cold. Get rid of the dirty garbage in your heads and eat quietly. The guys immediately shut up. Meanwhile, Vanessa beside me was about to collapse. She was completely heartbroken. She hadn't been herself since earlier. But no one cared about her feelings. Those guys she considered her people didn't even look her way. Halfway through the meal, the topic returned to Jonathan again. Jonathan, you can't just cosplay. You also need to spend money, buy the girl something she likes. I already bought something. The limited edition necklace from Brand E. Huh? One guy abruptly looked up. That necklace? No wonder there was only one in the whole of City A. My girlfriend wanted it, but the brand said someone already bought it. I was wondering which blind bastard stole it. Jonathan, my bad. My girlfriend sent it to me too, another guy said. It's really pretty. A moon with a pink diamond inlaid. And since it's a limited edition, the price is literally a zero more than the regular one. My heart skipped a beat. No way. Was it the one Jonathan gave me? He gave it to me just last week. I didn't want to accept it at first. But he said, I bought one for all the women in my family. This last one is extra. Just take it and wear it for fun. So it was the only one in the entire city. I felt a little uneasy. At that moment, my not very bright roommate suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Wait, the moon with a pink diamond. I wanted to cover her mouth. But it was too late. Rain, take out the one on your neck and show them. Chapter 18. Our Rain has a necklace like that. But it's definitely not the one you guys are talking about. Rain, show these damn rich people the power of Iwu. Good news, my roommate didn't think for a second that the necklace was from Jonathan. Bad news, once I took it out, everyone would know. Everyone's eyes focused on me. Especially Bruno. The smile was gone from his face and his knuckles turned white from how tightly he was clenching his fist. Jonathan could see I was uncomfortable. He spoke up first, forget it, spare me the embarrassment. If a 100 yuan Iwu necklace ends up looking similar to the one I spent 100,000 on, I'll break down. With a joking tone, he brushed the topic aside casually. No one brought up the necklace again for the rest of the afternoon until we returned to campus. After getting back, I had to go to the teacher's office. My roommates returned to the dorm first. When I came out of the office, I saw Bruno. He was standing alone in the shadow of the hallway. Without his usual flashy grin, he actually looked somewhat gloomy. Rain, I was waiting for you. You needed something? Yeah. Bruno looked straight into my eyes. That necklace on your neck, can you show it to me? By this point, there was no reason to hide anything anymore. I removed the necklace and held it out to him. Clear enough? The redness appeared around Bruno's eyes again. It's real. Yeah. Jonathan gave it to me. He's pursuing you? For several months now. Several months, meaning. Since the first day we met. Bruno's pupils contracted, his fists tightening, trembling slightly. I curled my lips into a smile. You're angry? Feel like beating him up? But Bruno, it was you who personally pushed me toward him. Chapter 19. Actually, Bruno had already sensed something was off. But hearing me admit it with my own mouth was completely different from his private suspicion. As I spoke, the color on Bruno's face slowly faded. Why did you want online dating with me? Because you'd never dated someone as poor and stupid as me. Why did you refuse to meet in person? Because I'm from a small county town, so I must be some ugly dinosaur girl who doesn't deserve you. Why did you send someone in your place? Because you wanted someone to get rid of me. Bruno grew agitated. Jonathan told you all that? No. I heard it myself. I opened my phone and pulled up the game's backstage chat records. The night before we were supposed to meet in real life, I entered your room with invisible mode on. I was planning to give you a surprise that day, to tell you I'd transferred to your school so we wouldn't be long distance anymore. But I didn't expect you to give me a surprise first. Bruno's complexion turned deathly pale. He couldn't refute a single word. You should actually be thanking Jonathan. He has never once spoken badly of you. I'm sorry, Rain. I apologize for everything I said. Bruno bowed deeply to me. His attitude in admitting fault was even more sincere than I had imagined. I used to be really frivolous. But please believe me, I'm taking this seriously now, 120% serious. I want to date you properly. For the sake of how well we got along during our online relationship, can you give me a chance? Then I'll ask you a few questions. Ask. The first batch of handmade cookies I mailed you, what flavor were they? Bruno froze for a moment. Milk flavor, right? What flavors did I send you afterward? Orange? Strawberry? Wrong. I told you before, I only know how to make chocolate. Bruno looked taken aback. So, where did my cookies go? I ate them too fast, I didn't pay attention. Don't talk. Let me guess, I kept my tone calm. You looked down on them, didn't even bother to take a look and tossed them to your bros. Or even to girls. Right? Judging by Bruno's expression, I knew I was right. You want to know how I guessed? Of course it's because Vanessa still had my cookies on her desk. I still remembered what Vanessa had looked like then. She had propped her leg up on the table, her heel pressing right onto the cookie box. Bruno gave it to me and said if I didn't want it I could throw it away. I think it tastes pretty good though. Do you recognize this box? Where can you buy it? I let out a bitter smile. It used to be a piece of my sincere intention. Even though I no longer liked Bruno, having my heartfelt gift treated that way still hurt. I put away the sadness and looked at Bruno coldly. So, Bruno, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself. Chapter 20. That night, a piece of news sent the entire school into chaos. All the dorm group chats were exploding. Bruno and Jonathan had gotten into a fight and were both sent to the hospital. Aren't they really close? Why would they fight? Rumors and discussions filled every corner. I didn't care about any of that. I rushed to the hospital immediately. Vanessa had already given up on Jonathan. So when she saw the news, she only bit her lip and suppressed her curiosity. But what I didn't know was. After I left the dorm, Vanessa sent a message to Bruno. She went to the hospital. Make good use of the chance. At the hospital, Bruno received the message and felt both nervous and hopeful. He held on to one last shred of hope that I was going to see him. During our online relationship, he once told me. He was actually very afraid of pain. When he was a kid, whenever his father's business went badly, he would come home and whip him with a belt. There were still faint scars on Bruno's but, since then, he had a psychological shadow around physical punishment. With his flashy personality, everyone assumed he must be good at fighting. But in reality, he never participated in such things. The fight with Jonathan was his first time. That afternoon, after returning to the dorm, Bruno confronted Jonathan, grabbing him by the collar. Jonathan replied. You were the one who personally pushed Rain toward me. I had said the same thing. That kind of unspoken agreement between us infuriated Bruno. Jonathan added. What right do you have to question me now? Her ex-online boyfriend. I'll win her back. Learn to respect her first. Then talk about winning anything. Don't give me that crap. In his anger, Bruno suddenly remembered something I had said. Jonathan, tell me the truth. That night, did you two really just have dinner? Jonathan didn't answer. Without my permission, he would never answer that question on his own. But his silence said everything. Bruno gritted his teeth. How far did you go? Holding hands? Kissing? Did you sleep with her? Jonathan remained silent, but he didn't avoid his gaze at all. Bruno understood that look. You motherf. Impulsively, he threw a punch. But Jonathan wasn't someone to be messed with. He didn't talk much, stayed low-key, but he was the son of a military officer, and he inherited the bloodline for real. In the end, Bruno was injured worse than Jonathan. At this moment, Bruno was pacing back and forth inside the hospital room. When Rain walked in later, what should he say? Give a sincere apology? Act pitiful? She knew he was afraid of pain, didn't like fighting. She would definitely feel sorry for him, right? Bruno paced and paced. He waited for an hour, but nothing happened. He opened the door and asked the nurse outside. Has a girl with long hair about this tall been here? Rain. The nurse checked the visitor log. She went to the room right next to yours. The room next door was Jonathan's. Chapter 21. I arrived at the hospital and went straight to Jonathan's room. Fortunately, his injuries weren't too serious and I let out a breath of relief. I heard you two fought so badly you ended up in the hospital. I freaked out. I thought. Jonathan gently patted my hair in reassurance. You thought it'd be like in the movies where the organs get ruptured? Yeah, that's terrifying. Relax. We're not kids anymore. We know our limits. I pouted. Bruno's personality isn't any different from a kid's. Jonathan asked, Did you go see him? No. You came to me first. Yeah. He smiled from the heart. Good. This time, I didn't miss my chance. What do you mean? Jonathan cleared his throat twice. Great Master Rainfall, I can't solve this problem. Could you teach me? My eyes widened instantly. Wait. It's me. Jonathan's eyes curved with a smile. Fragments of old memories suddenly resurfaced. Before I met Bruno, I had registered an account on an academic forum. The username was Rainfall. The avatar was a picture of the dog my parents kept. One day, I saw a post. The original poster, Jonther, had uploaded a calculus problem saying he couldn't solve it. That was my specialty. I scribbled the solution process on paper and uploaded a photo. This user Jonther immediately followed me, messaging me from time to time. Sometimes asking questions, sometimes just sharing books he'd read. Later, life got busy. I stopped logging into the forum. Naturally, I lost contact with that user. After that, I met Bruno in a game. Then Jonathan. You're that Jonther? I asked. Yes. Strictly speaking, I actually met you earlier than Bruno did. Then why didn't you say anything? When Bruno introduced you to us, you were already his girlfriend. From Jonathan's perspective, the whole story was entirely different. Back on the forum, he'd already treated me like a genius he admired, wanting to meet me offline. He knew which school I attended, but not my major or my name. When Jonathan finally mustered up the courage to ask me to meet in person, I stopped logging in. He was disappointed for a long time. 4 months later, Bruno dragged a girl named Rainfall to play games with him. When Jonathan saw the ID and avatar, he froze on the spot. Bruno said, Rainfall is my girlfriend. We just got together. At first, Jonathan only doubted it. How could it be such a coincidence, same ID, same avatar? Later, when I accidentally mentioned my school, his suspicion deepened. To confirm his guess, Jonathan once put a calculus problem in the public chat. Bruno complained, Why the hell am I seeing calculus while gaming? Jonathan, just kill me already. But I sent the solution. Only then did Jonathan confirm my identity completely. But it was already too late. He watched me and Bruno date online, but said nothing. He couldn't say anything. He waited for a long time and finally. Bruno said he didn't want to meet in person. Jonathan turned on his microphone that day. After hearing the entire story, everything clicked for me. So you're a sapiosexual. Chapter 22. After talking everything out with Jonathan, I agreed to his pursuit. From now on, I'm your boyfriend. Yes. Bruno has no chance anymore. Yes. Jonathan cupped the back of my head and kissed me hard. I said, Control yourself, we're still in a hospital. When was the last time I kissed you? Half a year ago, the first time we met. It's been 6 months. Every time I see you I want to kiss you. It's been torture to hold back. You're exaggerating. It's only been 6 months. You don't know, he brushed his thumb across my lips, his voice hoarse. Once you get a taste, you can't forget it. Jonathan was devastatingly handsome. Those dark, glossy eyes felt like they were pulling me in. Just then, the hospital room door was pushed open. What are you two doing? Bruno asked painfully. Don't misunderstand. I was only looking into Jonathan's eyes just at a close distance. We couldn't possibly be doing anything in the hospital. Jonathan was still injured. I said, "Can't you tell? I'm visiting my boyfriend." "Boyfriend?" We just got together. Like 1 minute before you walked in." Bruno's hand was still on the doorknob. But it was already trembling. "Did I come too late?" I shook my head. "You already cut in line before. Turns out cutting in line doesn't help." Bruno didn't understand what I meant. He didn't care either. "Rain. Speak. You don't care about me at all." "I'm hurt worse than he is." "It hurts so much. The doctor will take care of you." "But you didn't say that before." His eyes were completely red. I didn't know if it was bloodshot or something else. "You said you felt sorry for my childhood. That you'd help me heal my pain." "Yes," I answered softly. "I tried. No matter the outcome, I had truly tried. During the time I dated Bruno online, I was serious, invested. I felt sad for his childhood. I hated his father along with him. But he opened his heart to me only to make me fall harder. A frivolous person is eventually hurt by his own actions. Now, I needed to look forward. Chapter 23. I was only on exchange at University A for 1 year, then I had to return to City B's University B. Coincidentally, Jonathan was from City B. A year later, he graduated and also returned to City B. We stayed together ever since. Bruno never came back to school. He went abroad. It wasn't until the day he left that I found out. He said he truly liked me now and that he hadn't been lying. Even Bruno had a day when he couldn't let someone go. Because he couldn't let go, he could only escape abroad. The day he boarded the plane, he sent me a message. "Rainfall, see you again if fate allows." I replied. "If fate doesn't, then we'll never see each other again." As for Vanessa, after returning to City B, I never paid attention to her again. To be honest, after Jonathan and I got together, she almost never talked to me. But she never hurt me either. I think she truly liked Jonathan. Liking someone isn't her fault. And I had no reason to target her. I graduated from University B and was recommended for graduate school. On graduation day, I received a message from Vanessa. "Rain, we were roommates for only a year, but I still wish you a happy graduation and a smooth future." I knew she had let it go. I smiled and replied. "I wish you a bright future too." I put away my phone and looked up. Jonathan was standing in the distance holding a bouquet of flowers, coming to attend my graduation ceremony. I suddenly remembered a sentence, "Look forward. Because the right person is waiting in your future." My online boyfriend is the spoiled young master, the notorious playboy prince of City A. The night before we were supposed to meet in real life, I accidentally overheard him talking to his friends. "It's just for fun. I've never dated someone this broke and dumb before. Meet her in person? No way. If any of you are free, go in my place tomorrow. Just brush her off." I didn't make a fuss. The next day, I still showed up at the agreed place. And I took the initiative to hook my arm through his. The man looked at me deeply and didn't refuse. That night, the playboy prince called, his tone respectful. "Jonathan, did you get rid of her?" Jonathan looked down at me sitting on his lap, his voice hoarse. She's gone." Chapter 01. I came to meet Bruno in real life. He acted like he was facing a crisis and brushed me off, saying he was busy lately. Until tonight, when I slipped into his gaming room invisible. "I'm just messing around with Rainfall. She's from some tiny county, how could I possibly take someone like her seriously?" My heart dropped. Bruno still spoke in that arrogant tone. Mess around with what? Something fresh, I guess. "I've never dated someone this broke and dumb." His buddies cackled. "But she came to see you." Ugh, so annoying. Even so, Bruno's tone couldn't hide his complacency. As if this could prove how desirable he was. "Young Master Bruno, you should at least go see her once." "Yeah, she already came. Even if you don't like her, you should tell her face to face." Judging from the voices, his friend seemed to have more conscience than he did. But Bruno avoided it like the plague. "Meet her in person? No way. I'm afraid she'll burn my eyes." What do you mean? Is she ugly? This girl refuses to send me a picture no matter what. She's probably hideous. And in a tiny county like that, how could a real beauty even come from there? Right after that, Bruno added. Oh, by the way, which one of you is free tomorrow? Go for me. That's not really appropriate, it's fine. She doesn't know what I look like. Just brush her off however you want. I thought no one would respond. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. I'll go. Chapter 02. Bruno froze on the spot. Even his tone became cautious. Jonathan, we shouldn't trouble you with this, it's fine. I happen to be free tomorrow. The man called Jonathan had a low voice, cool and steady. Like a jolt of electricity running through my mind. To put it plainly, his voice was dizzyingly attractive. I glanced at his ID. Jonathan. So that was his real name. When I used to play games with Bruno, his friends would sometimes spectate on the side. Jonathan was one of them. Someone like Bruno, loud, arrogant, full of himself, was always surprisingly respectful and polite to Jonathan. I had no idea what kind of background this man had. I didn't have a strong impression of Jonathan because he rarely spoke. So why did he volunteer? Confused, I left the room. After thinking for a moment, I sent Bruno a message. Looking forward to tomorrow. Half an hour later, he lazily replied. Haha, same. I pressed my lips together and smiled faintly, saying nothing. Chapter 03. I showed up for the meeting as usual. At the entrance of the restaurant, a boy caught my attention. He was very tall, with a cool, refined appearance. Standing among the crowd, he was strikingly outstanding. I ran toward him. Are you Bruno? He paused for a moment, staring at me in a daze. Your Rainfall? Yes. I gave him a shy smile. You're even more handsome than I imagined. You're also, he hesitated, then said tactfully. You're different from what I expected. How am I different? He didn't answer. But I knew. Because of what Bruno had said, he must have assumed I was tacky and ugly. Today, I had come specifically to get back at Bruno. Looking at Jonathan standing in front of me, I felt like not only had I not lost anything, I had actually gained something. I gathered my courage and took his hand. Come on. Let's go eat. Jonathan's whole body stiffened. His gaze sank deeply into mine. Chapter 04. Jonathan was very gentlemanly. He kept checking whether the long trip had tired me out or whether I was having trouble adjusting to the environment. We had so many topics in common. As we talked, time slipped away. It was already past 10 at night. Jonathan offered to walk me back to my hotel. Standing at the hotel entrance, he looked hesitant. He had come with a mission today, to help Bruno get rid of me. Rainfall, call me Rain. That's my real name. Alright, Rain, I need to tell you something, hold on. I cut him off and pulled him into the convenience store next door. It was my first time doing something like this, and I felt embarrassed. But I steeled myself, grabbed a box of condoms from the counter. 1 box. He's paying. Jonathan froze slightly. You're staying with me tonight, right? I looked at him with wide eyes. I didn't even realize my tone carried a hint of soft pleading. Jonathan lowered his gaze, narrowing his eyes at me. You mean it? Face scan. Payment. He gave me no room to regret it. Chapter 05. To prove my determination, I stood on tiptoe and kissed Jonathan first. He was like a restrained torrent. At first, held back by a floodgate, calm and still. No matter how much I teased him, he didn't react. I got so mad I bit his lip, almost hard enough to draw blood. I glared at him. What, can't do it? If you can't, then forget it. Just as I pulled away, he suddenly cupped the back of my head and kissed me back hard, as if proving himself. The floodgate burst. The tide of desire surged uncontrollably. He held me, kissing me from the elevator corridor all the way to the room door. After entering the room, he forced out a shred of rationality and asked. Last chance, to change your mind. Still quite gentlemanly. Except his hurried breathing gave him away completely. My hand slipped under his t-shirt, touching his 8-pack abs, my answer to him. Jonathan was both gentle and unrestrained. When he called my name, his voice was even lower than usual. "Rain, how about here?" I was lost in it, unable to pull myself out. While our faces brushed against each other, Jonathan's phone suddenly rang. He glanced at the screen, his eyes dimmed. He rejected the call. I asked, "Who is it?" "A friend." A moment later, the phone rang again. And again, 3 times in a row. Jonathan had no choice but to answer. "Hey, Jonathan, why weren't you picking up? You scared me, I thought you." Bruno's voice came through the speaker. It was starkly clear in the quiet room. I pretended not to hear it. Still happily playing games on Jonathan. Jonathan tried his best to steady his breathing. Busy. Busy indeed. "Hey, Jonathan, I just wanted to ask, did you get rid of her?" Jonathan's beautiful eyes looked at me. She's gone." Chapter 06. I hadn't planned to hide things from Jonathan for long. The next morning, during our last reckless round, I deliberately called him by his real name. Jonathan was slightly stunned. "How do you know?" I actually knew, a long time ago. His teeth pressed against my collarbone, frustrated, aggrieved, yet unwilling to bite hard enough to hurt me. Afterward, Jonathan told me he hadn't slept all night, troubled over how he should bring it up. I asked the biggest question in my heart: why did you volunteer to go meet me instead of Bruno? By then, Jonathan was already dressed. "I ate the cookies you made. They were really good." I kept thinking, a girl like you, even if a breakup happens, still deserves respect. I used to send Bruno things often, homemade cookies, pastries, and such. Looks like Bruno hardly touched them and just tossed them to others. "Then you should know," I said with slight guilt. "I only came to meet you to get revenge on Bruno." I figured. My original plan was to tell Bruno everything about last night, exaggerate it, and let you two fight like dogs. But now I've realized, he's the dog. You actually seem like a human being. He laughed, light flickering in his eyes. "So your evaluation of me is pretty good. In any case, the grudge between me and Bruno shouldn't have dragged you in." Jonathan ruffled my messy hair. "Rain, let's talk about something." "Go on." "Starting today, do you want to try liking me?" Chapter 07. After Jonathan left, I was still a bit dazed. His almost confession caught me off guard. But I figured it out quickly. It wasn't really a confession. He was just different from Bruno. His values told him that if you sleep with someone, you should take responsibility. Out of courtesy, he said that. It didn't mean he liked me that much. Bruno, on the other hand, had already deleted me. He thought Jonathan had completed the task, so he deleted me without hesitation. He had no idea Jonathan secretly added me as a friend. Half a month later, I arrived at Bruno's school to register. I originally studied in City B. To meet Bruno in real life, I had fought hard for this exchange student spot. Now, I would continue my studies. But Bruno and I were already nothing. After finishing the paperwork, an upper-classwoman led me around campus. Passing by the honor board next to the cafeteria, I saw a bold, cocky-looking photo. Bruno had his chin raised, hair styled rebelliously, the corner of his mouth tilted upward, a dangerous, bad boy vibe. The senior said, "There, that's our school's notorious troublemaker, Bruno. His family has huge influence in City A. You'd better not mess with him. He can get on the honor board?" "Is he good at studying?" "No," she replied matter-of-factly. "His family donated a library." "Then, what about this one?" Next to Bruno's picture was Jonathan. The senior said, "TCH, Jonathan is the real genius. But he's even harder to deal with than Bruno." "What do you mean?" She pressed a finger to her lips, lowering her voice mysteriously. "I heard Jonathan's a third-generation government family. His whole family works in high-ranking positions. Even Bruno has to call him brother. No wonder. Businessmen fear officials." It made perfect sense. In the photo, Jonathan's face suddenly felt distant. The senior and I continued toward the cafeteria. A boy ran out toward us. He was tall, hair dyed silver gray, sticking up in an unruly way. The senior nudged me with her elbow. That's Bruno. Bruno was on the phone. Jonathan, have you eaten yet? Want me to bring something back for you? I'm right. He suddenly saw me and froze. His eyes widened, brightening. For a moment, I wondered if Bruno recognized me. But the next second, he swore loudly. Jonathan, guess what? I just saw an absolute goddess. A total knockout, 100% my type, a stunning beauty. Chapter 08. Bruno had always been flamboyant, he didn't hold back at all. His voice was so loud that nearby students all turned to look at me. I lowered my head, wanting nothing more than to cover my face and get away. After that, Bruno kept following me. Hey, classmate, what's your name? Are you a freshman? Where are you from? Not from City A, right? What major are you in? I'm Bruno. If you ever need help, just come to me. Help. I didn't want to deal with this idiot at all. How on earth did I ever get fooled into online dating him? At the dorm building entrance, Bruno insisted on carrying my luggage upstairs. Next to the bed, he saw my name. Rain. That's such a pretty name. I kept a cold face, refusing to respond. When we dated online, I used the name Rainfall. Bruno never knew my real name. Before leaving, he even tried to invite me to dinner. I rejected him immediately. Then at least add me on WeChat. If you ever need anything, just find me. I looked at him and suddenly found it hilarious. Sure. Seeing me agree, Bruno looked excited. He scanned my QR code. On his screen, my nickname and profile picture popped up. Rainfall. Bruno froze. Chapter 09. He stood there in a daze. His mouth slightly open, completely shocked. Why your Rainfall? Yep. He was incoherent. I deliberately glanced at his profile info. Huh, isn't this my ex's WeChat account? He stiffened. You stole my ex's phone? He replied, no, you hacked my ex's WeChat? Frantic, he said, also no. Bruno was dying of embarrassment. He didn't know how to explain. I'm sorry, Rainfall. I'll be honest, you're my ex. You're lying. I met my ex before. That day when you came to meet me, it was one of my buddies. I had something come up last minute and couldn't go, so I had him go in my place. The guilty look on his face was so ridiculous it was almost funny. He listed a few details, trying hard to prove his identity. Finally, he cautiously asked, do you believe me now? If what you said is true, that makes you a liar, sending someone else to meet me. No. The more he explained, the worse it sounded. Bruno was panicking. You traveled so far to come here. If I stood you up, wouldn't that make me a terrible person? I had no choice, so I used that method. If you were so considerate of me, why did you break up so fast afterward? I thought we would stay long distance forever and I didn't want to hold you back, so I stared at him, keeping a faint smile. He, however, couldn't smile at all. His face grew pale from guilt. Rainfall, no, Rain, if you don't believe me, I can get that buddy to explain to you personally. No need to trouble him. Then let me add you back. No need to add me either. I smiled sweetly at him. I have a rule, I don't go back to my ex. Chapter 10. After I rejected him, Bruno kept looking for another chance. He even bribed my roommate. It was the weekend. My roommate Vanessa dragged me to a shooting experience range. The moment I entered the range, I saw a familiar figure. Bruno was baring his pearly white teeth and waving at me. I turned my head and was about to leave. Vanessa grabbed me. Rain, don't go yet. I looked at her coldly. Never seen a roommate sell out her friend like you do. I'm familiar with Bruno. Just give me some face. He's covering all our costs today and tomorrow. We might as well enjoy it if it's free. Seeing the flattering look on Vanessa's face, I secretly decided to stay away from her in the future. Bruno walked toward me. Rain, I specially asked my bro to come today so I can clear something up with you. What? He should be here any minute. Before I could say anything more, Bruno waved at someone behind me. I turned around and met Jonathan's eyes. We silently exchanged glances. He's my friend. Jonathan, you met him that day. Met him? That's an understatement. I asked. What exactly are you trying to clarify? That day I suddenly had something urgent come up. I really couldn't go. That's why I asked Jonathan to go instead. Right, Jonathan? Bruno winked hard at Jonathan. But Jonathan didn't make a sound. His silence made the atmosphere awkward. Bruno kept hinting at him and laughed dryly. He's just a man of few words. Silence means agreement. Vanessa chimed in, I can testify to that. Jonathan Sr. doesn't talk much. Oh, he doesn't like talking. I replied lightly. Then did he also not tell you that night, he and I deliberately left a hook there, stopping halfway. Bruno and Vanessa's eyes widened in panic. Chapter 11. But wait. Bruno panicking, I could understand. Why was Vanessa panicking? What did it have to do with her? What happened between you two? She was even more nervous than Bruno, staring at Jonathan with wide, anxious eyes. I understood. She was Jonathan's little fangirl. He and I just had dinner together and talked pleasantly. That's all. Is that true, Senior? Jonathan glanced at me. Yeah. Everything Rain said is right. Both of them let out a breath of relief at the same time. Did no one notice the deeper meaning in Jonathan's words? Everything I said was right, even if I lied, I was still right. Jonathan and I silently reached a kind of understanding. No wonder. That night I sent Senior 3 messages and you didn't reply. Bruno said you went to meet a girl from online. I was sad for a long time. Vanessa pulled Jonathan forward, deliberately leaving space for me and Bruno. Her clumsy little tricks were honestly unpleasant to watch. I said to Bruno, you should be with Vanessa. You two are a perfect match. Nonsense. I'm not even close with her. But Vanessa doesn't think so. What do you mean? I smiled without explaining. Bruno had his own circle. It was full of people like Jonathan, students who were not exactly ordinary. Vanessa wanted to get into that circle. She always talked about Bruno in the dorm. Seeing her today, running around trying to smooth things over for Bruno, she clearly already treated herself as part of that circle. Nothing. Bruno, let me repeat myself. Even if you bring 100 people to clarify it 10,000 times, I still don't like you. Why? There has to be a reason. We got along so well when we were dating online. Because I hate liars. Bruno froze where he stood. I walked into a single shooting booth. I had never tried shooting before. At first I couldn't get the hang of it. Just when I was about to give up, a hand gently covered my right hand, helping me hold the gun steady. Like this. Jonathan's voice sounded right beside my ear. Chapter 12. I looked up at him in surprise. Why did you come in? It took me a lot of effort to shake Vanessa off. Let me have a moment of peace here. You don't like her? Don't wrong me. I've never liked her. He paused, seeming afraid I'd misunderstand. He voluntarily explained. And I've already clearly rejected her. But she's a lot like Bruno, no matter how many times you reject them, it never works. I get it. Under Jonathan's guidance, I finally managed to hit the target. Just as I was feeling proud, he suddenly asked, why didn't you tell them the truth earlier? I didn't want to see you and Bruno fall out. Recently, I had slowly figured out a few things. Bruno might be a total jerk in relationships, but surprisingly, he had great popularity. If Jonathan chose to stay friends with him, there must be a reason. Besides that, there was another reason. If this gets out, it won't be good for your reputation either, I said. I don't really care about that. He glanced at me, then changed his tone. But you're right. Let's keep it quiet for now. He was worried about me. Because I was a girl. He was more afraid that I would be the one people pointed fingers at. Wanna go another round? Sure. Jonathan guided me again. His left hand rested on my waist and his right hand pulled the trigger with mine. It naturally put me right in his arms. At the moment the bullet hit the bullseye, a voice came from outside. Jonathan, are you in there? Vanessa said she can't find you. Bruno pushed the door open right as he spoke. Chapter 13. In front of me was a preparation table high up to my abdomen. By the time Bruno entered, Jonathan and I had already stepped apart. "You're both here." He looked slightly surprised, glancing between us. "Yeah," Jonathan replied calmly, "just teaching her some shooting basics. Vanessa doesn't know how to shoot either. You should teach her too. Stop pushing her onto me. I don't like her. How many times do I have to say it?" Jonathan's tone didn't change at all. But somehow, it carried a heavy pressure. Vanessa heard him, and her face turned pale. Bruno also dropped his usual playful grin. "Then you're teaching Rain because you like her?" The question hit like a sudden thunderclap. So fierce, yet making everyone speechless for a moment. Before Jonathan could answer, Bruno laughed again. "Just kidding," I said, "that joke isn't funny." "It really isn't." Bruno clicked his tongue. "I regret asking Jonathan to meet you for me. Otherwise, I'd be the one teaching you to shoot now." "And whose fault is that?" I countered with a smile. Bruno had big eyes and noticeable under-eye fat. When he got emotional, that under-eye area would turn slightly red. At the moment, although he was still smiling, the redness was obvious. "By the way, Jonathan, what kind of girls do you like?" Jonathan said, "The ones who look obedient yet refuse to be controlled." Sounds like a very specific person. Does it? Maybe. It felt like an undercurrent was subtly flowing between us. Bruno had no idea. Behind the preparation table, Jonathan had been holding my hand tightly, and had never let go. Chapter 14. After returning to school, Vanessa cried for several days. She was once again rejected by Jonathan Sr. One night, she asked me, "Rain, why don't you accept Bruno?" "Because I don't like him." "Are you playing hard to get?" I looked at her as if I were looking at a lunatic. "Bruno is such a good guy, handsome, rich, generous.